You got that?
Yep. All right. Supposedly this is recording, but if anybody wants to do screen recording on their own, they're welcome to do that as a backup.
We can do that, but we need permission from the meeting host.
Okay. How do I do that?
Yeah, if you say request permission, you'll see and I'll record it. So
Okay.
Did you see a notice that I'm requesting permission to record?
Recording.
No.
Corner.
Yeah, you are successfully recording. Just don't hit that button again until we're done.
Right. I'm just looking through, see who all we have here. So all of you are getting, oh, there's Tara. I see Braden. See some California people. Lots of people. Good. All right. So you're all getting recorded right now. There's Renchi. All right. Where am I? There we go. We'll go back to me. All right. So let us begin. Oh, and then it falls. All right, we'll try it again. So welcome to my dojo up here in Minnesota. Contrary to popular belief, it is not cold right now.
Okay.
But Bunkai is what has become a generic name for understanding the applications of kata. So we have to try and break this out and go back to how things used to be named from my understanding. Well, let me go even further back than that. A little about myself, for those that don't know. I am one of Hanchi's students from way back when, probably 1988, 1989, something like that. I can't figure out my own birthday, so I'm terrible at dates. But I've been training with him. I started with someone in community ed, and we went through an 8-week program. And after that, I found Mr. Mather, and I've been with him ever since. I haven't had any other main sensei, but I have taken courses and worked for a week at a time with different sensei in lots of places. Australia, Okinawa, Hawaii, lots of states, Pennsylvania, Georgia, California, Nebraska. And I've trained with either a seminar or a week at a time with easily over 100 sensei, and not just in karate, but in judo, jujitsu, Krav Maga, a little bit of other things too. I have a brown belt in Goshin Jitsu, which is kind of a sub-side of Danzen-ryu Jiu-Jitsu from Renchi McCain. So I've done a lot of exploring, a lot of trying to figure out what things mean and how to interpret stuff. So back to Bunkai. Bunkai, as I said, is a generic term for meaning, for what we call someone doing kata and someone else attacking you. But originally, Bunkai was the theory of the application, meaning you think about it and you study it and you wonder about it and you try and figure it out. Oyo was the application, where someone actually physically attacks you and you physically defend. And then Henka is a variation on a theme. So the kata move might be here, okay? And in a real situation, it might be here. And so by adding this isn't in the kata, but it can be implied as a completion to this technique. Okay? And that's what Henka is allowing you to have wiggle room in your Bunkai. If the kata calls for a down block and you do a kick, well, that's not anywhere near the same thing. But if the kata calls for a down block and your down block starts here or it starts here, that's okay. Okay? Those slight differences are not a big issue in my understanding of how things are done. And of course, this is all my understanding. It's not necessarily right or wrong. It's just how I do things and how I teach. Okay, so Bunkai has just come to mean attack and defend with kata moves. Okay? But if we break it out and understand that you can have variations and you can do things a little differently, then it gives you more allowance to find things more easily. Okay? So we're gonna cover some topics here. I've got a little cheat sheet, okay? So that I remember all the stuff I want to talk about. So we're going to talk about what bunkai is, breaking down techniques to fully understand them, some example bunkai, and then how to explore kata to discover the bunkai, methods of learning bunkai beyond the kata, and the true goal of bunkai, what I believe is the true goal of bunkai. Okay? So we'll get to that at the end. Okay? All right. Let's see. So yeah, bunkai is not the end goal. Bunkai is just a tool to help you get to the end goal, to one of the ultimate goals of karate. Karate is ultimately about self-defense. As it has developed into the modern world, we incorporate do instead of bushido, or bushi, it's bushido. Bushi is the warrior and the warrior acts. Do is the character and the behavior, the ethical and the morals, and so forth. And that is developed into the modern art. Okay? And that's what we teach. That's what I teach anyway. Okay? So it's not just about punching and kicking, it's about making sure that you have enough self-discipline so you don't eat that third piece of pie, right? Or second piece, or, you know, so forth. That you can get your homework done without distraction and so forth, right? So bunkai is just one of the tools that you can have to help you get to that ultimate goal, which we'll talk about at the end. So the next thing we got to talk about is uke, which is blocks, right? Age uke, uchi uke, soto uke. Well, uke has come to mean block, but in a more accurate translation, it is receiving a technique. And if you change your mindset to think about receiving a technique instead of blocking a technique, it opens up the possibilities. Okay? So if a punch is coming and you receive the technique with a soto uke, okay, that allows you to think about what it is that you're doing with this punch as it comes at you. Okay? So let's try this as a first example. Who are the two people that are going to volunteer to demonstrate? Okay?
David,
We get,
you can unmute.
who is it?
David and.
Hi, yeah, David.
Yeah,
Okay.
there you go.
And
Okay.
so David Yang?
Yes.
So if I pop David Yang up here on the screen. Oh, that's not, yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Now I can see you and you're getting recorded in the full picture. So who do we have here? We have David and
Stephanie, sir.
a little louder.
My name is Stephanie, sir.
Stephanie. Okay, so Stephanie is going to attack David with a step punch. Okay? And just step in and punch and leave it there. And so now as he receives that technique, all he did was hit her. But if you're receiving it, you're taking it in. So rather than just hit, rub across that elbow. Okay? Not down, across. Let's go back again. Stephanie, put your hand up by his nose. That's good. And then David, across your chest rather than down. Yes, but don't hit, rub it across. Okay? So put your hand back there, Stephanie, in the middle. And then just rub it across, David. Yeah. That's right. Okay? So that action, that's enough. We'll go back to me. Okay? Let's see if we can go back here. No. This can be an interesting video. There we go. Now I can see myself. Okay? All right. That's too tilted. Un momento, por favor. Sumimasen in Japanese. There. I really wish my computer was going to work. Anyway, so by thinking about what you can do, rubbing that attack becomes different than just smashing it. Okay? And that has different effects. The hitting versus the rubbing. Okay? And to understand those effects, you have to understand how the body works. the skeletal structure, the joints, the muscular structure. That understanding helps you to know where and why and how to do your receiving techniques. Okay? So that's another part of understanding Bunkai, is it's not just blocking and punching and kicking. It is receiving, and it is changing things slightly to make them more accurate for a self-defense situation. I doubt that you've ever seen any type of movie, Western, sci-fi, action, even martial arts, where unless they're in a dojo or a training hall someplace, they're not like this and doing this, right? Okay? They're out there on the street, and the guy's got the gun, and so he goes and knocks it out of his hand, right? You've never seen that in a movie, okay? So why do we do this? Okay? Why don't we just do that? Just a little pop, okay? Because to get to here, you have to learn how to use your muscles and your bones and your joints to create and generate force, okay? I've done this demonstration with my students a lot, okay? I stand here in motodachi, high front stance. I put my arm up here, okay? And all I do is push with my arm. And their shoulder moves a little bit maybe. If I'm punching right against their shoulder, they're standing not like this, but like this. So I'm touching their shoulder here, okay? And if I do this, their shoulder moves, okay? But all I'm doing is my arm, right? Okay? If I use my hip, I can do this, okay? But again, there's not much power there. If I push my foot into the floor, physics says the floor is not going to move. So the energy has to go up my leg. And rather than go up, I take that energy and I turn it. Okay? So this punch from here to here, that little movement, okay, just enough, can knock them on their bottom. I don't have to go, I can just stand here and go and knock them down. Because I have practiced this action over and over, okay, to get that body understanding. Okay? It's the same thing with Bunkai. Okay? You have to understand this action, and you have to understand what it's doing, and you have to break it apart, that one or this one or whatever, okay? So that when the time comes to use it, it's just this little motion here instead of this big action here. Okay? But this big action teaches you that other part. Someone's trying to say something.
Renchi Chuck, yeah. Well, I was just going to say, when you stood back a little bit more, we could see you from head to toe. That was a great area for you. I just wanted to let you know. A little further. Yeah, then we can see everything. When you get closer, then we'll see you from your belt up. So I just wanted to let you know in case you want to determine where you want to stand when you're doing the demo there.
Okay. And if I tilt it that way, it's even better.
That's great, right there.
There we go. Now you can see it.
Good.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep. You can see our little logo behind us and everything.
Yeah. Didn't mean to interrupt, but I thought that would.
No, it's good. Okay. All right. So let me check my notes here. Okay. All right. So basically, we've covered the beginning of what Bunkai is, and trying to open up minds and think about things beyond what we typically think of. Oh, this is a block. No, it's a receiving of a technique. Okay, and you can receive a technique with a kick. Okay, there's things that you have to think about. Okay, so let's break down some examples here. Okay, Geidan Barai. Okay, first move of Heian Shodan, the first kata that we learned. Okay, what's the first part of the move? Okay, so we have to break that down. Okay, is it this? Or is it this? Well, it depends on what you're doing. But this can be the first part, or this can be the first part. Okay. What if someone's punching? Okay, so let's get David and Stephanie back. Okay. And we're going to demonstrate this. Okay.
Hi.
Okay. All right, so Stephanie is just going to step in and punch towards David's face. Just, no, stay, David, Hashiji Dach, natural stance. Facing her. She's going to punch you. You got to turn and look at her. You got to be polite. So as she comes in to punch, just put your hand up and grab her hand with your hand. Yes. So there's the first part of the kata, the very first move. Now, as he does that, he's going to put his other hand up at her belt. And there we got the first part of Gedanbrai. Okay? So you defend and you attack. And he's punching at the belt because it's easy to find. But ideally, you would want to punch the bladder, okay? Or the lower intestine, depending on the height of the person. Two people, right? So if you punch somebody in the bladder, it's going to hurt a lot, right? And they're going to buckle a little bit. And now, with the upper hand, David's going to grab her hand and pull it down. No, the other way. Yeah, no, the other way. You're right. That's right. No, you're right. I can't see very well. Do it the right way. Do it the way you did it the first time. But turn your arm over as you do it. Yes, that way. So now if you continue, you're going to twist her wrist, right? Okay. If you step, there's the punch. Gedanbrai and a punch. Now he's being polite and punching at the arm. Like that's going to do any good, right? Punch her in the joint of the jaw. Yes, right there. Okay, so there's one possible motion. Okay? Okay. So there's lots of things that we can do. As he's stepping, he doesn't have to step. He can step a little higher into the inside of her knee. Okay. Uh-oh. How good does that work? Okay. All right, so let's go back to me for a minute. Come on. There we go. All right, I'll set that up so I can see myself. Okay. So if you break out these techniques, so that doesn't mean up enough. It's gonna be a fun video. I pity the editor. If you break this out to someone's coming up to punch and you check and grab it, I'm gonna move in close. Grab and come in here and then punch them, right? And then take this down and turn it over. That's gonna bend their wrist. If you turn it the other way, it's gonna bend their wrist the other way. Okay? There is advantages to coming down and doing your Gedanbrai and opening this way, or taking it and coming down this way. It also depends on if they punch with their right hand or their left hand. Okay? And you guys can explore this on your own. If someone comes up to punch you with their right hand, they're coming from this side and you're grabbing their pinky and coming down. If they're punching with their left hand and you come up here, you're grabbing their thumb and you're coming down. Okay? And the body, the arm, turns better one way than it does the other. Right? Because of the structure of the skeletal system. So this action will work depending on whether they punch right or left differently. Okay? So it's just something to keep in mind. Okay? So in our what I call the bunkai that I first learned with Hanchi way back when I was coming up through the ranks, as I call it Akachu bunkai. I made that up myself. Okay? Akachu, okay? Aka is red, chu is baby. So it literally translates to red-faced baby, because babies are red-faced when they come out of the womb. That's what they are. So what that translates to is beginner. Okay? Akachu basically means beginner. So the bunkai that we learn, someone's kicking, we block their kick. We push them, we hit them in the solar plexus. That is Akachu bunkai. In my world. Okay? It's the beginner. It teaches you the basic understanding of moving around and doing punching and kicking. But it isn't a deeper understanding. Okay? Learning the actual actions individually in each motion and what you can do with them. Okay? There's 4 actions right there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? We call it Gedambarai, sweeping down motion. But it's 4 actions. So each one of those actions can have a meaning. And if you break that out and you look at it, then you get the henka, the application, the bunkai. Okay? So let's take it a different way. Someone's coming in to punch, and you check and strike here. Okay? So I'm striking, instead of Gedambarai way down here, it's up a little bit. And what I'm doing with this is using this knuckle to hit in here. And you can hit yourself like this. You don't have to do hard, just lightly. And you can feel that little tingle in your nervous system. Okay? So if you take this and you go bang, nice and hard, that's going to make this arm as it comes into punch go like this and just buckle. Okay? So someone's coming into punch and you hit them here and they go, and there's no power anymore. Okay? So same action, but a different application, coming in and hitting here. Okay? This is true of all of your uke, uchi uke, age uke, soto uke. All of them can do these different things far beyond just pushing a punch or a kick out of the way. And that's something that you have to come to explore. Okay? Let me see my notes, make sure I'm covering everything. I think someone told you guys that this class was going to last at least an hour, no more than 2. I just tend to ramble on, and when we're done, we're done. So just to let you know. Let's see. Okay. So let's just take another example real quick. Uchi uke, which is receiving out. Okay. If they're coming in, let's do this with, I'm not going to explain it. I'm going to let David and Stephanie do it and see if we can figure it out from there. Okay. All right. So, yeah, Stephanie's going to punch, and I got to figure out what we're doing here. Okay. You're going to punch. Let's do left hand. Chudan.
Left hand?
Chudan. Yeah, so left hand, Deva's going to check with his right and push, no, check, open hand, push. And as you do that, you're going to push it into your other elbow as you do uchi uke. Okay. Let's try the other side, as long as David's standing. So, yeah, all right, so Stephanie, you punch, right? And he checks with his right hand. Right hand. That'll work. Yeah, both of you switch so we can see better in the camera. Switch feet, both of you. And then Stephanie, punch with the other hand.
Okay.
And check and do your out block into it. No. You gotta put her hand into your elbow. So it lays on your top of your elbow. Okay. The other side of her arm. There you go. Now, can you do that? Okay, that's fine. So as you hold with your left hand, no, hold her arm, yes. Now, in this case, you can hyperextend the elbow by hitting it with your uchi uke. And the reason it extends is because you're holding it with your left hand. Okay? Yep. And you're locking it up against your shoulder, up against your own elbow. Okay? All right, good. Okay? Let's go back.
Sure, but I didn't really understand how.
There we go. I hope everybody's following this okay. Okay? So I'm going to open this up so you can see. Okay? As that punch comes in at me, I'm checking it across and planting it here, and then hooking across. Okay? As you saw them demonstrate. Okay? Now, if you hit the elbow, this is going to be open. Okay? As I check and I do it more tightly. Okay, so this is normal. Okay? But if I come in here and I hit it and I do it tightly like this, I can hold the wrist in place by myself with just my muscles here. Okay? And then I got this hand free to hit with or extract. Okay? Okay? So look at places in the kata where we do this. And then what do we do next? Okay. The first kata that I can think of that happens is Heian Nidan. We're here, here, and here, right? And the next move is this, right? And then what do we do? Okay. They're torqued out. Okay. I'm punching and they hit here or they pinch this and it turns me this way. So the next move is a kick, right? And in the Heian kata, we like to kick nice and high. Okay? But if you go back and look at the earlier videos of the Pinan kata, the kicks were all low. Okay? Okinawans very rarely kicked above the groin. Okay? They never kicked up here and up here. At least that's my understanding. Okay? And if you look, you can find on YouTube now old 1930s video of, I think, Kyan sensei doing the Pinan kata. I'm not sure which sensei, but they're kicking low. Because if I'm coming in to do this punch and you've torqued this and you've twisted me, my knee is already exposed and buckled, and all you got to do is tap it there with that kick. So from here, here, next move, pop, okay? You twisted them, and now it's just a little here, and they buckled and boom. Okay? So these are just little examples of what you can do with Uchiuke, Irambarai, and so forth. You have to go and you have to explore all these different movements in the kata and see how they work. And like I said, break them apart. Okay? Why do we go here and then over here? Why don't we just go like this? Why do we circular motion? Okay? So that's something you can explore. It's because this has a particular use. Okay? Well, what use does it have? You have to figure that out. Okay? I'm not going to tell you all the little secrets, right? There's an old saying, the sensei lifts up one corner of the tablecloth, you have to lift up the other three to find the secrets. And the reality is, yeah, you might know how to do, let's take magic, for example. I can show you a coin trick, but that doesn't mean you know magic. Or I can show you the secret to one card trick, that doesn't mean you know magic. So I can show you applications like we've just done here, but that doesn't mean you understand Bunkai or that you have the true understanding of what Bunkai represents. So I can show you all that, but that doesn't mean you mean it, you know it. So there's no point in me showing it. You have to do all that stuff to figure it out and see what works and things like that, okay? All right, moving on. So how do you get to that point, okay? How do we explore kata moves to discover the bunkai in them? Okay? And again, it's not, I guess we'll move back here. It's not that you should learn the bunkai, you should learn the bunkai because it is a means to an end. And I keep telling you what that end is because I'm building up this big surprise and you're gonna go, wow, is that all? At the end. But it is, it's that simple, but that important. So, things that you can do to help you along the way. Obviously, today we have YouTube, and you can go and look at just about any kata and any bunkai from different people and figure out what the moves are. But again, that won't help you learn. You have to study, you have to learn it. The things that I have done, I've read over 400 books in martial arts, not just karate, but other martial arts as well. Because karate is more than punching and kicking. It's about the culture from which it came, studying how that evolved, why it evolved, and just in general learning that particular time in history. So I've read things like Shogun, which is a historical novel about how Japan went from feudal times to modern times. Or the Tokaido Road. The Tokaido Road in Japan is like Highway 1 in California. Okay? It goes the entire length. Okay? And it talks about all the different cultures that you find along the way. Musashi. Okay? Where is it? Oh, it's hanging up over there. Okay. I don't know, let's do this. Okay. Here we go. Okay. There he is. Okay. This is a lithograph given to me by Hanchi Mather just before I left as a gift. I gotta plug the phone back in. Sorry, you're looking at the ceiling. I don't want to lose my charge. And while Musashi is Japanese and karate is Okinawan, they did have Bushi, and so reading his life story, all of this stuff helps you in understanding all the different things that are related to karate and ultimately to both Bunkai and ultimately to what the real goal is of all this. So you have to study the different things and you have to learn the different things, reading the books, looking at the videos, going to seminars, exploring different sensei's point of view. I remember one time, I forget who we had in. It may have been Jesse Clay. Renchi Clay came in and did a seminar, and there was something that he said that caught my ear. And after the seminar, I talked to Hanchi about it. He said, yeah, I know, I've been saying that for years. And I thought about it, and I'm thinking back in classes, and he says, yeah, you have. But sometimes if you hear something in a different way or a different phrasing, the light goes on. And all that stuff you heard before suddenly makes sense. So listening to other people helps too. That's why I take so many different seminars.
And Renchi Clay.
Renchi Clay, you remember Renchi Clay?
Oh yes, Renchi Clay was a Navy SEAL.
Yes.
You ever watch Navy SEAL training? That is not for the squeamish. So yeah, he was one.
He had these big meat hooks for hands. I mean, his hands were, 1.5 of mine. And you remember this technique? He comes in and goes pop.
Yeah, like the Tuatei stuff, and he.
Yeah, and another one he had was the zipper.
Right, and when he moved, he took off. He went from 0 to 60. Really, yeah.
And kumite. I don't think I was a black belt. Maybe I was a shodan at the time, but if I was, it's just barely. But he's doing kumite, and he's like this. He's got no pads. Everybody else got all the foam and everything, right? And he's standing here like this. He says, "Okay, next." And boom. Okay, next. Boom. Okay, next. And he this is his fighting style.
Yeah.
He's just. And it was awesome to watch. Anyway, so you get things from different people. One of the things that I picked up that really helped was taking workshops and seminars, and I went to Australia to study under Hanchi Patrick McCarthy. He's originally from Canada, spent many years in the Orient, Okinawa in particular, and then moved to Australia. And that's where he teaches out of now. And he travels all over the world teaching. But he translated a document, a book, whatever, called the Bubishi. The Bubishi is an ancient text that was written, and it's actually a conglomerate of texts that was put together. And it was in China and handed down from sensei to student to sensei to student by copying it. So if you were the uchi deshi, the senior student of a particular sensei, he would give you his bubishi, and you would have to handwrite it out and then give it back to him. And now this is your copy. And he took, I think it was Motobu's bubishi, and he translated it into English. And one of the things in there was the 36 acts of physical violence. These are natural actions that people do as attacks or violence against each other. A jump spinning back hook kick is not one of them. It's things like a straight punch or an angled punch, simple kicking, bear hug, And so what I developed was take those 36 actions and go through them with the kata and see if they fit. Okay? So someone comes up and they stomp on your foot. Will the first move of Heian Shodan defend against that? Probably not. Cross that one off. Okay? And you just go through the list. I've got the list here. I will probably email it out to people so they can distribute it. But there's the list. You got it? Okay. So straight punch, straight kicks, angular kicks, straight punch, circular punch, downward strikes, upward strikes, knee strikes, elbow strikes, and so forth. Double hair pull, double choke, single hand choke, and it just goes through and lists them. Wrist grabs, So we did this years ago with Konkudai. I had 8 black belt students that were willing to come in every Saturday and work for an hour or two, whatever. And we took Konkudai, right? So Konkudai starts like this and does this, right? So will this action work against a choke? Will this action work against a kick? Will this action, and we go through every single 36 items and see if it will work, okay? And the criteria isn't just that, will it work while they're standing there letting you do it, okay? You eliminate the ones that are obvious, okay? Somebody stomps on your foot and you do this, that ain't gonna work. So you cross that one off, okay? Someone comes up and they grab you by the jacket and does this, will that work, okay? Well, if they're just standing there and holding, it might work. But if they grab you and start shaking you, it might not. So you first eliminate the ones that are obvious, and then you do the ones that you think might work. And then you go back, and once you figure out the body mechanics of what you're doing, then you try to do it with semi-realistic action. So if someone's doing a two-hand choke, you don't choke someone hard enough to crush their trachea, right? Because then they're dead and they can't breathe, and you got no more people to play with, right? So you squeeze hard with your fingers tensed, but not actually penetrating the skin, and then see if this will work, okay? So you go hard with reason, safety, okay? And you just go through the whole list with every single action, okay? So I mentioned Konkudai. Most of you know that or have seen it, okay? Starts here and goes like this, right? Okay? And then it comes up here, okay? So one of the bunkai that I like for that is someone comes up and grabs your jacket and you do this, okay? And that hurts. Why does that hurt? Because you don't do it slow, you do it quick with a tap. And you're tapping between the legs into the testicles, okay? And a soft hit like that, a little flick, is very painful, okay? Yeah, a nice hard kick and a big punch, yeah, they hurt, but so does this little tap. When that little tap comes, okay, that's gonna release this grip a little bit, so then you can come up here, okay? And then the kata does this. Why is it so low, okay? Okay. The bunkai that I like is you grab the side of their head and you hit them across the neck. Now, if I hit this way, there's room for the neck to move over. If I put my hand here, it's against a hard substance where it's not going to move. And so it's going to cause more damage. But why wouldn't I do it here? Because I just did this. When someone does this, the person getting hit does this. And now their head is down where it belongs in the kata. Okay, comprende? Okay, so I like that little move, okay? So, but that comes through understanding and going through each of these items here, okay? Will it work against a side armbar? Will it work against a ground straddle? Probably not, right? Okay, because there is groundwork in the kata, okay? Will it work against the bear hug arms, pinned their arms free from the front to the back? And you go through each one of these things piece by piece, and this is how you learn kata, or bunkai, okay? One of the ways, okay, is to go through and see, okay, will this work against a bear hug? Okay? Each one. Somebody's trying to send me a note here. Okay. Was Evelyn, was that for me?
That was for me.
Okay.
Aunt, she told you that story.
Could
The
be.
taxpayer.
There's,
That
I've learned
was
I've learned
Conquer
that on
Died.
my own. I've learned it from other teachers. It's hard to say where I get things. But it's possible. Okay. Let me check my notes here. So when I send out this list, I'll send it probably to Daniel because he has a distribution list, and I'll send it to my own students. It has a list here of guidelines and criteria. Okay. So use as much of the kata as needed, but no more. It's generally close to middle range. Okay. If it's going to be effective. Okay. It can have multiple applications. You can use unusual applications against unusual body parts. Figure that out. Don't forget the legs because kata is stances and movement as well, right? Okay. This movement isn't just to focus. Here, I'll move back here so you can see my feet. When we're in Zenkutsu, we're practicing drills, stepping up and down. This movement isn't just to work on your hips. It's to help you understand that you can manipulate your legs against their legs to cause certain actions. Okay. And Godan, we come in here to here, right? Okay. This knee, if you're up tight close to them, can push their knee, okay? And it causes them to stumble, okay? So when you're doing these movements coming in here, okay, this can be a sweeping action for a hook, or it can be pushing their leg out of the way, or pushing it into position so that you can better manipulate them. Okay? Let's see here. Okay. All right, most of this is pretty self-explanatory, so I'm not going to go into it. You'll get the list. Okay? So that's one of the things that you can do with discovering the bunkai, okay, is going through these step by step and use the 36 acts of violence that are from the Bubishi. You can get the Bubishi and read it. It's got all kinds of neat stuff in there. Besides just that, it's a very good book to read. I would not recommend getting Patrick McCarthy's earlier version unless you want to compare it. He has since written, I'm just adjusting the camera. He translated the Bubishi back probably the 1970s, I'm guessing, maybe 1980s. That publication, he doesn't like. The reason is because it was published by a corporation that required him to add or subtract or not put in things that he wanted to put in and say things the way that he wanted to say them. And so since then, he has rewritten his translation and republished it on his own. So that was in the 90s or the early 2000s. Look for the publication date. And you can probably get it from his website, Koru Uchinari. But also, I know Joe Swift has also done a publication on it. Joe Swift is a karate historian who's got some really great work. If you get a chance to find some of his stuff, that would be good. Excuse me. Someone else locally in Minnesota that I discovered was lives up in St. Cloud. I've forgotten his name. Bruce Everett. Okay? Bruce Everett Miller. There we go. He's done some phenomenal work with Bunkai. David Gimberlin, also locally in Minnesota, has done some phenomenal work with Bunkai. I know David has an active YouTube channel. So these are places to go and look, and if you get stuck on something, what does this mean? How does this work? Okay, what is the meaning of this? Okay, go through that list, the 36 things. Have someone come up and choke you. See if this motion works. Okay, and then after that, you can develop counterattacks or finishing attacks if it doesn't finish them. Okay, so for instance. Heian Shodan, the first move, like we demonstrated here, or coming in and hitting here hurts and makes that arm buckle, but that's not a finishing technique. But that's all there is to the kata. Okay? So what happens next? You can develop that on your own. Okay? All right, so let's see where we are on our list. I think this is going to be closer to an hour than 2, but that's okay. No, that's the wrong list. Oh, something else I wanted to mention. Okay, I was talking about books, and I didn't even, I got sidetracked. There's a book called 5 Years, 1 Kata. Bill Burger, B-U-R-G-A-R. He's British. He stopped training in the dojo, and he took 5 years off. It just happened to be 5 years that it took him. And he went through Goju Shiho. Now, in different styles, there's Goju Shiho, or Goju Shiho Sho, and Goju Shiho Dai. I've never found any school that teaches all 3. They either teach the Sho and the Dai, or they teach the Goju Shiho. Same thing with Kanku. There's Kusanku, and people teach Kusanku, or they teach Kanku Dai and Kanku Sho. Same thing with Basai. Basai is a little different. Most people teach Basai Dai and Basai Sho, or Pasai Dai and Pasai Sho. The more Okinawan versions. But anyways, he took 5 years out and he studied all the moves of Goju Shiho and what they could possibly mean. And he wrote a book called 5 Years, 1 Kata. So there's stuff like that out there. There's also, I brought this in because it's nice. It's Essential Anatomy for Martial Arts. Okay, this copy is for sale, by the way. This is the commercial. I've been slowly letting go of most of my books, and if you're interested in some books, I can get prices on them. You can go to Facebook and find me and find them. It's not a big deal. But anyways, so studying the anatomy like that book is very useful. I keep grabbing the wrong one. I'm going to throw that one away. So where were we? So how to explore the moves, that's the 36 Bunkai, going through seminars, listening to your sensei, exploring, asking yourself questions. You know, kata is not what karate is about. Kata is the way that you learn karate. It's passed from sensei to student, sensei to student. Okay? It's the way that we remember the art. Okay? And in the kata is everything you need to know about karate. Okay? Not just karate jitsu, but karate do as well. Okay? Because in the kata, you have focus, and you have self-discipline, and you have timing, and distancing, and breathing, and power, and speed. Okay? All of it is in the kata. Okay? There's a great book called Moving Zen, which talks about how kata is moving meditation. Okay? I found that to be a great help when I was studying for, I think it's Yandan, where we have to have Teki Nidan and Teki Sandan. And I've told my students, they probably got tired of hearing me this, but you have to learn both of those kata to get your next rank. As you progress beyond Shodan, it's generally 1 kata per semi-rank. So for your uchi and your uchi shodan, uchi nidanho and ju nidanho and nidanho, all of those, you need 1 kata. But when you get up to yandan, I think it is, when you're at uchi yandan ho, which is senior probationary 4th degree black belt, you have to learn Teki Nidan and Teki Sandan, the 2 of them together. And I practiced those kata 35 times a day, both of them, every day for at least a little over 2 months. And then I went through each of the other kata I already learned, one time each. And then I randomly picked one of those kata that I already learned, all the heian, Teki Shodan, Basai, Kankarai, Jion, Impi, Jite, and so forth. I took one of those kata each day, and I did it 5 times. And at the time, I was also studying for my Kobudo rank, so I did all of my Kobudo kata. Okay? It turned out that by doing it that way, it just happened to work out that I did 108 kata every day. And 108 is a magic number in the Japanese study of
Buddhism. I'm not a Buddhist, I just happen to know that. They have 108 virtues and 108 sins that the human is connected with, supposedly. And on Chinese New Year, the Buddhists ring their gong 108 times. So it was just kind of a nice little tie-in that I did each one 108 days, 108 kata for a little over 2 months every day. And it became, as I said, like moving Zen. It just was a great meditation. So, little side story. Anyway, that's what comes with, oh, back to the, yeah, that's what kata is. Kata is all that focus and self-discipline and self-control, not just punching and kicking. I tell my students all the time, you can get just about anything you want in life if you have two things, focus and self-discipline. Without them, you get to watch video games all day. Okay? But if you want to get your homework done, if you want to earn enough money to buy a new motorcycle, whatever it is, okay? Whatever the goal is, without focus and self-discipline, you're not going to get it. Okay? And kata teaches you that. And in the kata is the bunkai. Okay? And the bunkai teaches you the ultimate goal. Okay, moving on. Other ways to learn bunkai beyond the kata. Okay? Bunkai is simply knowing, understanding what these actions mean, how to interpret them, how to use them in a self-defense situation. Okay? So how do you explore that? Well, one is the 36 acts of violence, like I said, but there's 3 other things that I have learned to help my students understand bunkai. And by bunkai, I mean kumite. And by kumite, I mean kata. It's all the same thing. Okay? One is what I call half-speed kumite. If you've got all your pads on and you're going hard, you're going fast, you don't have time to think about what you could do. Someone throws a punch, someone throws a kick, they grab you, they try to choke you. Okay? In the moment, that has to be done quick and fast, or you essentially die, right? In terms of the match or the sparring session that you're having, right? So if you slow that down and you just don't worry about getting hit or injured and everybody goes soft, all you do is just punch, okay? Whatever, elbow, and just at this speed, kick, okay? Stomp, elbow, strike. And all I'm doing is attacking, okay? And the other guy gets to try and defend. I'm just going this slow, okay? This is all I'm doing, okay? And they get time to see this coming and they can stop and think for a moment, what could I do as this comes at me? Versus that, right? You can't think, you just react. But to get to that reaction point, you either get hit a bunch of times until you figure it out, or you take your time and you go slow and you can see what you can do, right? So that's one thing. The other is taking turn kumite. I punch, okay? So the other person blocks, okay? All right, let's try this. Let's get Stephanie and David back in here. Okay, we'll try this one. Oh, you're still with us. Yay. Okay, so we'll let Stephanie do it this time. So David, you're just gonna punch her in the chest. Nice and slow. Yes, now you, okay, go ahead. And she blocks, stay there. Okay, now Stephanie, it's your turn. What are you gonna do next? Okay, so now David, you do the punch. Start over. She does the check, and here comes the elbow. What are you gonna do, David? Okay, now it's David's turn. Okay, all right, so now Stephanie, do the elbow. The elbow strike, and he does that, and now he's gonna punch you. What are you gonna do? And then you're gonna follow up. Okay, so, and then okay, now we're gonna start with David's punch. Down low, where you were, down low, after the elbow. And you do that, and here comes Stephanie's attack. What are you gonna do? See, now you don't have time to think when she actually does it fast, right? Here you got time to think about it. Okay? And I noticed we've done 6 moves here. Nobody's done any leg moves. So you can start doing that by taking turns back and forth. Okay? It helps you learn about other things besides just punching and kicking. Okay?
about the joint manipulations, about the muscle penetrations, and so forth, right? Okay, let's go back.
We can do this with each other anytime in the living room.
Yeah.
You guys could pick a brother or sister or a parent of comparable size. We'll probably
Okay. So we have half speed kumite, which is going slow, and then we have taking turns kumite, where you take turns and you figure out what you're doing. Okay? So those things can help you explore different actions. And if you think about them and maybe think about specific kata moves, the kata moves will somehow magically appear in your kumite. Okay? Let's take empi. We start here and we go here. Right? There's the opening of empi. Okay, so put that in your kumite. Okay? And don't start out thinking about, okay, I'm going to do this. Just keep it in mind. And as they're coming in and punching or they're taking their turn and it's your turn, suddenly someplace, someday, this action will come into place and make sense. Okay? Or you can use the 36 moves from the Bubishi and go through this action and figure out what they work. But taking your turns or going slow with that in the back of your head, thinking about what is this action, okay? Suddenly you'll find an opening and it'll make sense. And then you go to the next one. Okay? Basai Sho, what is this? Okay? Things like that. If that text is for me, let me know. All right, what was the other one? Okay? Oh, yes. Okay? I don't know if you guys still do self-defense drills, but we do those all the time. We practice, someone does a jacket grab, someone does a hammer lock, someone does a bear hug or headlock, whatever. And we have specific drills that we do in order to defend ourselves. And all of these are just a beginning. Okay? It gives you something to do. Someone grabs your wrist, you pull out. Well, you don't have to pull out, right? You can punch them in the nose. Okay? But who gets in trouble? Not the guy that grabbed the wrist, the guy that did the punch, right? So this is a basic movement of just escaping. Okay? But what if wrist grab kata 1, they grab your arm and you're supposed to go this way. What if you go this way? You can't tell the bad guy, wait, I did the wrong thing. We got to start over, right? So what I do is I try to tell my students, remember that when you do the wrong thing, you have to continue now and see how you're going to get yourself out of it. So if I'm supposed to pull out this way and I pull out this way, okay, it's probably not going to work because the hand's in the way. And I go like this and now I'm stuck. You don't start over. From here, from this motion, my hand is down, should be up here. Okay? What am I going to do to counteract this? Okay? And by doing those things, excuse me, by figuring out what you're going to do instead of what you were supposed to do, it helps you learn new things. And it helps you learn more understanding of how to manipulate things. Okay? So when someone does their self-defense attacks against you and you do the wrong thing, try and figure out what you're going to do to recover. And then go back and practice the right thing. So I'm supposed to pull this way, and I pull this way. Okay, what can I do now? I've done the wrong thing. I'm not in a good position. Okay? And then go back and practice correctly. But that helps you. So those three things are things that I have discovered can help people understand better about joint manipulation, about body movements, all this different stuff that's connected to things. Okay? All right, let me check here real quick. All right, let me do this. Okay, I thought I'd try this. I don't know how it's going to work, but we'll see. If someone wants to unmute themselves and ask what particular move in a particular kata, what the bunkai might be for that, I'm open to giving that a try. Okay?
And then we got a few other things, then we'll wrap up.
I've got one.
Okay, who's I?
Howdy, it's
Who are
Steph.
you? Who is it?
It's your loyal practice dummy, Stephanie.
Oh, okay. All right. So demonstrate the kata move.
Okay, this is ironic because I barely know the kata myself, but it's in Gangodan, the jump.
Oh, and Heian Godan?
Yes.
So you do this.
Yep. Eh? So my Akatsu Bunkai is Ippon Sayanagi.
Sainagi?
You know what that is?
Ippon I know, but Sainagi could be many things. What's that?
Ippon Sayanagi is one arm shoulder throw.
Ah, okay.
Okay. So we'll have David be Uke and Stephanie be Tori. So we will go from, let's see. Let's do this. Let's do a right step punch, David. Okay. And as he does that, you're going to use your right hand to kakayuke, hook his wrist. Hook his wrist with your own hand. Hook his wrist. No, the other side.
With my right
Around that's the right hand, but bring it underneath and around. Under and around. Yes. Now slide your hand all the way down to his wrist. The top hand. And grab his wrist. Don't pin it. You can pin it there, but it's okay. So here, okay. I'm trying to get you into the kata here. And yes, so your other hand comes up and grabs him and step on his foot with your right foot. Is that your right foot?
Right.
Okay. Yep. And left foot comes behind your foot and you use the arm that's holding him in the crook to punch him with a back knuckle either into the chest or in the philtrum. You know where the philtrum is? Nobody knows where the philtrum is. Yeah, very good. You get a gold star. It's those two lines between your nose and your lips. Okay, so grab his hand with your left hand, and you're stepping on him, and you're pushing. Okay, and because you're unbalanced, because you're stepping on his foot, you use kosadachi, cross-leg stance. Right? And no, the left foot should be behind, not in front, like in the kata.
Oh, okay.
Okay? So left foot's behind your right foot. Yes, and then you're striking there, right? Okay? Now, if you just hold on with your left hand only, and you turn away from the camera as you're stepping, and bring your arm up under his armpit. No, the crook of your elbow under his arm. There you go. Now if you turn, keep turning, and you keep your foot on him, if you do it just right and you pop that, you can create a compound spiral fracture, which means you twist his bones and snap them and they expose out of the skin.
That sounds terrible.
Well, what is he trying to do to you? He's not being nice to you. He's trying to kill you. Right? Okay, so there's the first part of that. So now just to make it easier, okay, what you're going to do is you're going to grab his wrist with your left hand. Okay? That's your right arm. Grab his wrist with your left hand. Don't do that part anymore. Just grab his wrist and put it down. Turn your hand over, grab it the other way.
Okay.
And put it at your left hip. And then step in and bring your arm up under his armpit. So the crook of your arm is at his armpit. There you go. Okay, now if you keep turning, you can throw him over your shoulder. And don't let go with your left hand. Just be nice. David, you can just fall if you want.
So throw like this way, just turn.
You would keep turning. No, you're not supposed to fall too, Stephanie. You're supposed to pick up. All right, so we'll just pretend that you threw him. So you're holding on to him with your left hand, and he turns and he falls down and you stay standing. Now you're holding him with your left hand, right? Okay. So there's that action. All right, we'll go back to me because it's easy to explain this way. Okay.
That's okay.
All right, so I'm trying to figure this out. Okay, this way. They're coming in with their punch, and we're in this move action of the kata. So here's kakiyuke, where we grab them, step on their foot. I gotta get back here so you can see. I'm using the ball of my foot to, okay? The ball of the foot to the instep. Okay, this is easier to show on the hand. I want to go here or here on the foot with the ball of my foot. Okay, because that creates tension in the skeletal system and in the nervous system. So here, kakiyuke, step, pull in, strike. Okay? You were going into the crook of the elbow and I couldn't get you to not do that, but that's okay. So we're here. Then we step off and turn and come under their arm. And this is where the throw is. Okay? So the jump is, in my opinion, just athleticism. I don't believe, I could be wrong, but I choose to believe that there really isn't a jump in this kata. Okay? In the Pinan style, I don't believe there's a jump. Okay? It was developed for school children and young college students with too much testosterone. Can't say the word, but you know what I mean. Okay? So what you're going to do is after the throw is you come down across the left side, which is where the spleen is. And you rake the spleen with your heel. I'll move back here. Raking, okay? So throw, cross through, raking the spleen. The other leg comes over for balance. This is what Kosadachi does. It allows you to have balance when you're putting most of your weight on one leg. And we kneel down into their chest. Okay? I'll move back just a little. So as I kneel onto their chest, okay, I'm going to strike cross into the cheekbones. Okay? Boom. Or I can't do this correctly because my hands don't bend that way. The hand should go on the inside, the thumb on the outside. Okay? You can't do it to yourself, but this way. Okay? So you're coming in to the jacket and then grab and turn. And what that does is constrict very nicely and choke them.
Nice.
Okay? So boom. Okay? So this is again my understanding of Akatu Bunkai, the beginning of it. Okay, this will get you started. You can learn other things and develop other things, but that's one of them. Okay, so there's that. I had a couple others that I was thinking of that people might not figure out and wonder what it was.
Sensei?
Yeah.
Sensei?
Hi.
Is there a kata called the dancing kata, and is there a bunkai for it?
The one that I know of is Henku kata. Eh? Maybe Tara remembers that one. Eh? You put your right foot in, and then you put your right foot out. Eh? And you put your right foot in, and you shake it all about. Henku penku kata.
Okay.
No, I don't know an English translation of the dancing kata. But other moves, maybe? Someone have a particular kata and a move that they want to, what does this mean? I had a couple that I wanted to
that people, let's see, where was it? Oh, okay. Something I haven't mentioned in a long time. Heian Nidan or Heian Sandan, where we're here, and we turn and do this. Okay. Simple thing is someone's coming up to grab you, and so you turn, and if all you do is turn, as you're turning, they can just let go and do a bear hug, so that's not so good. But as you're turning and you use your elbow to hit them, and then come across, it makes a difference. Oh, you can't see that very well. Okay, I'll go from here. Turning and use your elbow to pop, then turn. Okay, so little things like that are things that you need to learn to discover. Okay. All right. Let's wrap up a little bit. Okay. Where's my last parts here? Make sure I got all these. All right. And I'll sit and say that. What the heck? Okay. So a note that I had here was about speed. People think that you need to be fast, okay, in your punches or kicks, and that's always good. Okay? But true speed isn't how fast you can go, it's how fast you can perceive the action and interpret the reaction to it. Okay? This is what I consider to be sen, sen no sen. There is go no sen, which is taking the initiative later. And there is sen no sen, which is taking the initiative sooner. And there is sen sen no sen, which is taking the initiative first. And that's where true speed is in my mind. And that's what Bunkai can help you with. Okay? Seeing things coming over and over again. Okay? I remember going back to the dojo, being in Minnesota for a number of years. The first, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years, probably the first maybe only 2 years. It's hard to remember. That was 1998 when I left. Okay? So what, 20 years? But at least the first 2 years, I went back to the dojo every quarter. And every 3 months I went back for training. When I got my sandan, Sensei said, Anchi said, you probably don't need to come back so much. And so I came back twice a year. And I ended up coming back once a year. Now I haven't been back in several years. But in one of those coming back, we did kumite. And people were coming at me with techniques. And at the end of the thing, end of the session, Hanchi said, I see you learn. And I knew what he meant, and he knew I knew what he meant. And I said, hey, oh, Sensei. Okay? And what he meant was that I understood and could apply sen, sen, no sen. Okay? So, an example. Okay? We're standing here fighting, right? We're doing kumite. Okay? And I do a front kick. Okay? Well, that front kick is 18 miles behind me, okay? And you're 5 miles in front of me. Okay? This takes forever to get up here and hit me. Okay? It seems like a split second, but once you see it and you understand it and you can see the motions and see the thought in their eye, I'm going to do a kick. And that thought in their brain and that twinkle in their eye has to go all the way down here and say, lift your foot and bring it up and push it towards the guy that you want to hurt. Okay? And if you can see that up here before it gets down there, that's sen, sen, no sen. That's taking the initiative first. They've already committed to the kick before their body moves. Their body has to catch up to the brain. If your brain sees it and reacts to it faster than them, then there's nothing they can do because that kick's already coming.
and they can't stop it. And you already know it's coming. And so you can deal with it. So time after time after time. Okay? I'm in my 30s or 40s, I don't know. I haven't kept track of birthdays since I was 16. They're coming at me with kicks and I'm doing this. Uchi-uke. Because they want to kick me here. So I uchi-uke. Boom. Okay? Next guy comes up. Okay? Fast little 17-year-old kid. Boom. Okay? You can't be fast enough if you can see it. And that's what Bunkai brings you, is that understanding of what's going to happen. Okay? Because you've seen it over and over and you've practiced it here and there and everywhere. You practiced Uchi-uke time and time again. You practiced Gedan Barai. Okay? You can see those actions coming because you practice Kumite over and over again. Okay? You understand how things work because you've done them over and over again. And that's what you get. Okay? And Hachi used to talk about this a lot with Gono-sen. Gono-sen is, I'm going to hit you. No matter what you do, I'm going to hit you. I'm just waiting for you to move first. So whatever move you come in with, I don't care what it is, I'm going to hit you. And they're just waiting for it. Okay? Sen-no-sen is, you started your kick, and now it's up here, and they hit you. Okay? Okay? So as soon as you start your action, bam, I don't care what it is. As soon as that comes, bam, I'm hitting you. Okay? But Sen-no-sen is, I see it coming before you understand that you committed to it. And boom, it is too late. Okay? And you can set that up too. Mike Hopper sensei, Evelyn Renchi remembers Mike Hopper. Okay? He used to fight like this. I've told my students this. He used to fight sideways with his arm way up here. And all the rookies would think, oh, cool. Okay? There it is. I'm going to hit him. Okay? And before they can think about it, they try to hit him. And he just shuffles in a little bit and hits their arm with his elbow. Bam! And then follows through. Okay? So you can set those things up, but whatever's coming at you, you can deal with it. My first understanding of that, long before I knew it, was a guy in Modesto. Now, you guys live in California. Most of you probably know where Modesto is, right? Some little backwater town that nobody ever goes to. Except there was a guy there that taught karate. And he was connected to a sensei in Okinawa. And he brought his sensei over from Okinawa. The guy didn't speak any English at all. Okay? Two things I got from that. One was learn some Japanese so you can understand what they're saying. Now, I can't speak fluent Japanese, but I can speak a little bit. Okay? Skosh, a little bit, skoshi. Okay? There was a point where his student came in to do something. And sensei started chastising him. And he's and he's talking all this Japanese and hitting them like this and saying this and that. And the interpreter says, keep your knee bent when you attack. Something got lost there in the translation, right? Okay, so I decided, okay, I got to learn a little Japanese. The other was, he says, somebody's punching you? It's just a fly. Just brush the fly away. And he's got all these young bucks coming at him, punching them as hard as they can. And he's just swatting them across. Swat, boom. Swat, boom. It's just swatting flies. That was the beginning. Then it happened again later on. A guy named Ed Andrews, I think. I forget. He learned martial arts from the grandson of a samurai out in Brooklyn, New York. He's playing basketball with his kids. He's 13 years old. And he sees this little old Asian guy sitting on the bench watching him play. And he goes up to the guy and he takes out this old worn out picture of guys doing judo. You know, it's a clipping from the newspaper. And he says, can you teach me this? You know, he's Asian. You should know this, right? And he says, no, I don't do that. Well, he keeps asking the guy. And finally he says, okay, come to my house after school. And it turns out that he's the grandson of a samurai, and he knows all these different arts, Aido and rope tying and all the horse riding stuff. He was taught all the stuff that the samurai learned. And he taught him how to do all this stuff. And so this guy learns kendo, not kendo, but not aido too, because aido is just the one strike. But he learns sword work with live blades. And he teaches his students with live blades. And I went to his seminar, and he takes out a warrior fan. A warrior fan is metal tines with sharp points at the end of the fan bits. Okay? And he says, okay, you guys come attack me with your live blades. And they come up and they try to attack him, right? And all he's got is his warrior fan. And it's closed, and he goes, and stabs the guy. Stabs the guy. Guy's coming at him with the sword, stabs the guy. And not really, stabbing them, but you understand. And that was another huge opening in understanding Sensen no Sen. And all of that coming together through the years of training and the bunkai all coming together gets me to the point of what bunkai is about. Bunkai is about self-defense. And self-defense, true self-defense, comes with the confidence to know that you can deal with yourself and deal with other people in just about any situation. I can't say everything because, it's not possible. Someday you might run into somebody who's quicker, faster, smarter, and luckier. So it's not everything, but it's close, right? The ultimate goal of bunkai is to internalize the understanding of the human body, its skeletal system, the joints and the skeletal, how the bones work and manipulate, the muscular system, how it works and how to manipulate it, and the nervous system and how it works and how to manipulate it. That's what bunkai is trying to get you to get, so that you can then have mushin. Mushin is no mind. You don't think, you just react. It's instinctual. You start with this, right? And you learn how to move that arm. And then you add how to move your hips. And you add how to use your foot to generate power. Same thing with anything in life. It starts with little things and it builds up. The culmination of bunkai, the ultimate goal of bunkai, the tool, is to get you to understand the human body and how it works and how you can use how it works to your advantage. If I'm standing like this and you kick me here, or you kick me here, or you kick me here, or you kick me here, each one of those actions has a different response inside the body. If my knee is straight versus bent, there's a different reaction to the body. My knee will buckle this way to a certain extent before it gives. It will buckle this way a certain extent before it gives. Which one is more dangerous to hit, here or here? If you don't understand that, then when you kick this way versus kicking this way, you'll have a different reaction, and you don't understand what it's going to do. If I kick this way, I know what's going to happen. If I kick the inside of the knee, I know which way the body is going to move. I know that without having to think about it. The elbow is a great example. If I'm standing here like this, with my arm slightly bent, you can pull on my arm all you want, and I don't even have to work hardly at all, and you can't straighten it. Because that's how the body works. So if you want to put an arm lock on me and hyperextend the elbow, my arm has to be straight. If my arm is bent even a little bit, it won't work. So as you're coming in to hit that, and the elbow bends, your brain instinctually has to know that that bend is there and that I can't do the technique I was just about to do. And you have to immediately go into something else without thinking about it. It has to be internal. to know that when I punch and I turn and I've exposed myself, what am I exposing? What are the weak parts of the body? What are the strong parts of the body? What can I do? What can't I do? Okay? What can I do easily? What is difficult to do? Okay? It's easy to attack from this side. It's harder to attack from this side. But it depends on the attack. Okay? There's an attack like this in the kata, isn't there? Okay? Isn't there an attack like that in the kata? Okay? That's a very strong attack if I know what I'm attacking. And I know how I'm attacking. And I know what I'm attacking with. Okay? If I attack with the arch versus the ball versus the knee, I get a different reaction. Okay? All of that has to be internalized. So you don't think about it. You have motion. Boom, there it is. Boom, there it is. Okay? They come up, they do something. As they do it, you develop something else. But in the middle of that developing something else, they change it. And now you have to do something else instead. It all has to be done without thinking. And that's what Bunkai teaches you, is how to internalize the human body. And that's what it's all about, in my opinion. Okay? So, about an hour and a half, not bad. So to recap, okay? To get Bunkai to be able to work, you have to understand the body and how it works. You have to explore the different options. It's not just one thing. Okay? Explore the different movements within each action. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Okay? Not just one. Okay? There's the fourth one, pulling back, hikite. Hikite is very important. Okay? Body displacement, balance displacement, zanshin. Okay? No, kazushi, balance. Okay? All of that has to be done. You can do it through the 36 acts of violence. You can do it through taking turns bunkai or kumite. You can do it through ippon kumite or sanban kumite. You can do it through half-speed kumite. You can do it by following your mistakes and completing them and seeing what happens when you do the wrong thing. Okay? You can do it through YouTube, looking at the bunkai. You can read books like The Essential Anatomy. You can take seminars, but it all comes down to practice and explore until you figure out how to take everything in the body and understand how it works and why it works and where to use it and how to use it. Okay? If I punch you just above the breast versus poke you with my thumb, I get a different reaction. Okay? I know that without having to think about it. Okay? Those are the types of things that you learn by reading books and by studying different students, different sensei. And that's what I've been doing. Okay? Over and over and over again. Okay? So anyway, I think that's about it. I'm going to look at my notes, make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay. There. Yep. Okay. All right. So, anybody got any questions? You should, right? If you don't want to ask now, that's fine. Okay. But that's basically all I've got for today. I hope everyone enjoyed it. I hope the recording is going to work. I hope I have enough space on my phone to save the. Oh, I saved it to the cloud, so I'm good. Okay, so we'll see. All right.
Do you have
All
any
right. Let's.
channels
Yes.
that you recommend
Hey.
Do you have any YouTube channels that you recommend for learning new kata or technique? Like
Yeah, YouTube would be David Gimberling. Gamberling, I think. Gambirline.
very interesting.
Or Patrick McCarthy. Those two in particular off the top of my head. I know you can search the word bunkai. There's enough people out there that will do it. There was a book called 75 Down Blocks. Rick Clark wrote. I think he's Aiku Jitsu, if I remember right, and some Taekwondo too. but he wrote 75 different ways of doing this action and how to apply it in a martial arts situation. He might have want to stopped at 63 or something, because there's 7 or 8 that are pretty hokey, but that isn't the point. The point is open your mind to what this could be. So,
And most of
but those, like I said, McCarthy Sensei and Gamberlin Sensei are 2 that I know of that are really good. You could check and see if Bruce Miller has one. I haven't looked at his in a while, but I've been to his seminars in St. Cloud many times. So,
could you spell Gamble?
anything else?
You spell Gamberlin?
Anyone? Sorry?
Can you spell the first guy again?
Gamberlin?
Oh, David Gamberlin, Gambir, or it could be ERLINE.
Thank you.
Gamberlin. Interesting. Okay, thank you.
Any advice for, like, right now, a lot of people are socially isolated, so there's only one of us or a few of us in the house. Some of us don't have other partners to practice with. How might we like get principles with just ourselves? I'm saying, like,
yeah, that's a little hard, but it's certainly possible. I know. I'm trying to think of Sensei's name. Sensei Renchi McCain had an assistant, and I don't remember his name, but he practiced left-hand techniques. So in judo and jujitsu, everything is pretty much right dominated. So you do ogoshi. You grab and you come around their waist and you throw over your right shoulder. Okay? Well, he practiced doing it the other way. Okay? And he practiced all of his techniques. And judo has 7 kata. He practiced all the kata left-handed by himself. So I know it's possible to do. It's hard because you have to use your imagination, but it's certainly possible. Heian Shodan, the first act is down block against a kick, right? So, okay, so I'm blocking here, so that means it's on this side. So if I'm standing over here, I'm kicking with this leg. Okay? And that's the kind of thing you have to try and figure out on your own, I know. Somebody comes up and puts a headlock on you. Okay, what can you do? Okay? And what part of the kata is this? Okay? By the way, the headlock and the kata right here, that's Heian Sandan. Okay? And it's Bunkai for Heian Sandan is to put him in a headlock. Anyway, yeah, by yourself it's hard because you have to use your imagination. And what I would recommend is just take some notes, either video yourself or record yourself or just hand write it down. I'm practicing Heian Yandan. Okay? And what is this action? Make notes. And then when you get to actually be with people again, is dig up your notes and say, okay, you attack me with whatever, and I'm going to do this action. Okay? And we'll see if it works. That's what I would recommend, is just to take notes.
Thank you.
Anybody else? No? Okay.
Favorite tournament kata?
I'm sorry?
Your favorite tournament kata? This is completely random.
Gosha Sho.
Yes, thank you. I've heard that too.
What's that one?
It's
I won't do unsu in competition, but that's my favorite kata.
that was really cool.
I don't know. I have those.
Oh, thanks.
I learned Gosha Sho before I was supposed to, because back in the early days of my training, Hanchi was heavy into tournaments, and he wanted some of us black belts to be able to represent properly. And so he taught some of us Gosha Sho before we were supposed to know it according to rank. And I remember that was another light bulb, a BFO, blinding flash of the obvious, BFO. I was training with I keep forgetting to call him Hanchi because for me it was Kyoshi for so many years. So I apologize, but Hanchi was working out with me privately between his after-school program and the dojo, and going through the kata. And he says, do you know Goju Shio Dai? And I said, no, sensei, just Goju Shio Sho. And he says, Dai is above my pay grade. Meaning it wasn't necessary for my rank yet. It was like 2 kata before, I was 2 kata lower than that. And he says, come on, it's easy. And it's very similar to Goju Shio Sho. There's enough difference to make it interesting. But basically taught me it in half an hour, or half a day. Okay? And that was a light bulb that says, I can learn the embusen of any kata fairly simply. And I found that to be true because I would take seminars with people who would teach things like the Pinan kata, which are similar to Heian, but they teach Kudaranfa or Sochin, or kata that I hadn't learned yet. And it's okay, it's just basically the same moves in a different pattern. And I can learn patterns pretty easily. And that proved to be true. So learning kata is easy. The imbusen, the line of the kata, which way to turn, which arm to move. Understanding the kata takes a long time. Like Bill Berger did, 5 years, 1 kata. Or Funakoshi sensei, in his autobiography, said that he learned Nihanchi, Teki, and it took him 3 years before his sensei would let him move on. Itosa sensei said, no, practice Teki over and over again. So anyway, I'm rambling. What else? Anybody else?
I had a question. How would you apply, say, groundwork using Bunkai?
Same way you would with anything else. You go through the different actions and see what you can do with it. I had very fortunate when I was coming up. Hanchi had a dojo in Milpitas. That was my hambu, and it was in an industrial building, and he had the hard wooden floor, and then behind that they had judo mats, and Renshi McCain taught judo and jujitsu. Judo to the kids and jujitsu to the adults, Danzenru style. And if I'd have known back then that I was leaving California and he was leaving California, I would have worked harder and gotten my full shodan. As it was, I only got brown belt. And he moved to someplace way up in Oregon that you got to fly to Portland and then drive 3 hours. And I moved to Minnesota. So we ended up finding each other in Chicago, and he was quite impressed with what I had remembered because it's important. But there are ground techniques in the kata. If you look at Funakoshi's second book, I think, Nuan, I think it's called. There are actions in there. I know Patrick McCarthy did a translation of it. Motobu did some groundwork stuff, but it's the same thing. You have to understand how the body works, and it's very hard for people sometimes to put themselves perpendicular to what they normally are. In other words, laying down. People don't tend to think laying down. But if you understand body motions and you understand how the body works and how to manipulate it, you can manipulate it the same laying down as you can standing up. There are some differences in that gravity plays a role. Okay? So if, for instance, I put someone in a figure 4 arm lock standing up and their wrist is getting bent, right? If we're both standing, that's not going to hurt as much as if they're laying down and I'm lifting up on them. Okay? Because the gravity of their body is pulling them down. Okay? Standing up, they're not pulling away. They're trying to come in and get me off balance so I'm not hurting. Okay? Or they're twisting or turning, trying to get this from not happening. When they're on the ground and I'm lifting it up, their body pulls their arm down and it hurts even more. So there are advantages to that. But if you want to learn good bunkai for application for groundwork, then you got to go find somebody that knows that and study it, and that would be judo or jujitsu.
Renshi.
And then bring it back to the dojo and show everybody what you learned.
I have a story about groundwork. We used to do a lot of ground defense,
Yeah,
if you remember.
I do.
And there were some programs called model mugging, and they taught everybody immediately groundwork. And I had a talk with Hanshi once, and this is, to me, very enlightening. He said, I train you to not end up on the ground. And that is what is most important. If you're training to defend yourself on the ground, you nonetheless failed on defending yourself on 2 feet. Not that it's not good to know, but you have to ask yourself, where do you want to fight? On 2 feet or on your back? And that,
Yeah, very good point.
all over the years, there are things that, people will say, oh, I didn't learn that in class. And a lot of times you do, as long as you're kind of really listening.
Yeah. Yep. All right, anyone else? No? All right, well, I'm gonna wrap it up. We started kind of goofy because I was trying to use the computer. And so we didn't officially bow in, but we're gonna officially bow out. So I'm just gonna face the showman. Back to you, sorry. Shalani Ray. Otagani Ray to each other. And like I said, hopefully if someone else was recording, that's great, but I'm gonna see if this recording is saved. And I'll get it out to everybody else that wasn't able to make it. And we will see you next time, maybe. Dewa matane. See you next time.
Yes, thank you.
Bye. Yep. Stay safe.
Yes.
Anna Denny.
Hello.
Made it.
この時の後会いたいんだ。
あんまり聞こえない。
ね、会いたいよ。
はいちゃい。
会いたい。会いたい。
ああ、